Okay, so you're sure that it's fuel injected, not a carb? But if you had the bike stored and you didn't use fuel stabilizer, what kind of fuel do you run in it? I would suggest running only premium fuel in all of your toys or motorcycles. First of all, there's up to 10% ethanol in regular fuel, and the ethanol in the fuel causes the fuel over a couple months, not even a long period of time. If you haven't ridden the bike in a couple months, that fuel is sitting stagnant in your tank and in your fuel line. So with the ethanol, if you're only running regular, which I suggest you run premium, the best gas you can purchase for your toys. Never run regular fuel through a motorcycle or like any kind of two-stroke engine. Always run premium fuel, because what happens is with the ethanol in the fuel is like a gel over time. So if you don't have a fuel stabilizer while you're storing it, you should fill up your tank and add a fuel stabilizer to the full tank of fuel, and that will allow the fuel to stay not like it won't go stale on you, I should say, because the fuel, because of the ethanol, it ends up plugging up things. So you could have stored it, had a full tank of fuel, everything's good, but when you go to take it out the next season, you go to start it, and all that fuel that's been sitting in those lines, if there's no fuel stabilizer, turns to like a jelly kind of, like it gets thick, and that will cause a lot of problems in that sense. So I would suggest getting like maybe a Seafoam or some kind of a Yama. There's Yama Lube has a motorcycle oriented fuel stabilizer and fuel injector cleaner. I would suggest running that through it. If your bike is still starting, there's things that you can do to see if you can clean those injectors out. But if you had it stored and you haven't been riding it, I would think that it would be the fuel has gone stale, because most people don't realize that you should only run premium fuel through those things, and it ends up sitting, causing the ethanol in the petroleum to react, and it ends up going bad. It doesn't ignite after. It just doesn't have the octane left in it, and it doesn't have the same substance or qualities as the premium fuel. So that's another thing. Back to you, VE3WVJ.
Bill, thank you very much on that input. Since I bought the bike in 1999, brand new, it's been running on premium. BMW doesn't recommend regular gas on it, so it's running premium. The stabilizers, I do it once in a while, but not regularly, and that was, I think, the problem. And when I push the ignition, it'll start the ignition process, and then it'll start the engine running, and it's like choked up, and I keep throttling it up, and then it's choked up until I run out of batteries. I already bought a brand new battery for it. So when I took out the fuel, it was dirty. It wasn't light. It was a little dark. And so that's it could be a lot of issues, like I said. But so I've been. It's always BMW maintained by the dealer, but they charge an arm and a leg. An annual. I started annual checkup. It's oil change, clutch, brakes, let me reset, and everything else that needs to be done. It's a driven bike. It's a 1200 cc, fuel injected ABS. Yeah, it's dealer maintained. It's just that basically I don't ride it that much. That's why the mileage is 18,000 and it's a 1999. Right now on my Ducati, I think I'm gonna add stabilizers on it. I'll let it run and add stabilizers on it because it's on storage also. I have a 1098 Ducati. Yeah. I just want to correct you on that one in regards with the fuel. I'll bring it back to Ray. Go ahead, Ray.
Okay, Ruben. Yeah, Bill is 110% right about the water and the storage and all that. My only question is, does it start and idle? And will it idle continuously until you touch the throttle?
It would start, okay. It would crank up and then the engine would run. And then even if you accelerate, you slowly accelerate it and it'll clog up and die. You start up again, you keep continuously starting it up and then it'll run, clogged up, and then it'll die. That's what's happening. Ray, go ahead.
All right, fair enough. If it'll start until you twist the grip, I still think you should check that fuel pressure. You may have a ethanol or storage or whatever problem in the pump or the regulator. The injectors could be bad, but if the injectors were clogged, I find it hard to believe it would actually start and idle. The fact that when you ask for power and twist the throttle, it's not supplying. Something's in the supply chain. I don't know if it's the delivery. It's not the injectors. But that's my opinion. Again, I have to offer my caveat here. I'm a Harley guy. I don't know BMWs at all. But fuel injected is fuel injected. I believe the Harleys now use Bosch derivative injection systems too, Delphi, but they license from Bosch.
Thank you, Ray. I'll bring it back to Bill. Let's make this the last round, and I appreciate both of you guys sharing some input in regards to giving a solution, because like I said, BMW charges a lot. I don't know how much they charge, if it's $150 an hour just for the labor and without the parts. And sometimes they milk you on fixing a 1 hour problem and make it 3 hours. So I'm bringing it back to Bill, VE3WBJ, and Ray is KJ7RV Romeo Victor Bravo, and this is KD6CWI. Go ahead, Bill, for the 73 round.
And for sure, you know it's an fuel injected, right? Like 1999 is an older bike, so it could be even a carbureted bike. You know, like, are you sure that it's fuel injected? And if like the other gentleman said, if you're going to twist the throttle and it's dying out on you and not having enough power, that means that it's running lean. There's not enough gas in the system. There's not enough fuel being delivered for it to give the power needed at that point. So it's running lean, and when it lean, hot, the fuel, if you run rich, the fuel actually cools the system. So there are more problems with running lean than just the bike not having enough power. You can burn a bike out by running lean. But I would suggest, like he said, check from your tank. There could be dirt in the bottom of the tank where the pipette like the pickup is. There could be dirt there. If you have a reserve on your tank, like you have your main and then you have a reserve, right? Like there's usually two stems inside of a fuel tank. It's like the other gentleman also said earlier, the water sits at the bottom. So they usually have a little pipe that sticks up from the bottom of the tank. They don't pull right from the bottom. They maybe an inch or so above the bottom of the tank. But the reserve, when you switch to your reserve, it pulls from a little bit lower. So if you do have water in the bottom of your tank and you switch to your reserve, that's a better chance of you sucking up water from your tank. If the fuel is dirty, the water is not good for anything in your fuel system. It's really, really bad when you have water with ethanol and petroleum. It ends up gunking up and turning, like you said, a darker color, brownish. So with that, there is most definitely like a clog or and if it's a single cylinder, twin cylinder, or even four cylinder, I'm not too sure. I'm not familiar with the bike too well, but I know that if it's a twin cylinder and one cylinder is getting more than the other, then you know it's an injector. You know, like if it's like pop, 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 and every second like stroke like of the engine, it would misfire. That is probably an injector. But if there is gunk inside, like stale fuel inside of your fuel injector rail, that's simple. You could take that off by yourself in your garage if you have the tools. Just you know, I know because I've worked at Yamaha for years. I used to work at Yamaha here in Sudbury, and like my godfather owned the business there for the Yamaha dealer here, and that's mostly what it was taking carburetors apart. And an older bike, it could be carbureted. You never know. Most of them were back then because they didn't have the technology and the computers involved with you know, doing the EFI, which is electronic fuel injection. So I would double check on that if you're not too familiar with the type of bike, what it is, if it's carbureted or fuel injected. If it's carbureted, it's definitely a clogged carb.
That, and then we'll go to the 73 round. I'll respond back to what you said.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know I timed out, but yeah. So it's probably a clogged fuel system. So start by removing the fuel rail. Check if it's an injector. Check your injectors. You know, take the injectors off and run fuel through them. Take the ends of the injector right off and run fuel so that you can see the fuel flowing through. Your fuel flow, like you said, you can check your fuel pressure, and you know, make sure that you get all that old fuel out. It's definitely an issue when that happens. So with that said, I'll pass it back to you. This will be my final, and we'll say 73 to the both of you. I'm hoping that everything works out and you get your bike fixed. But just a couple things, you know, try to add some insight to the issue. But anyway, 7-3. This is Victor Echo 3 Whiskey Victor Juliet. Passing it back to you.
Hey, V3WBJ, Bill from Ontario, Canada. It's a BMW 1999 BMW K1200 RS. It was this generation first introduced in 1996. It runs on fuel injection only. Okay, so BMW has innovation, just like in the car industry. All the technology, BMW will introduce it first, and the rest of the domestic dealership, and then European dealership would follow through. So their engineers are probably the pioneers of early technology. Why I know? Because I sold those cars. And yeah, so it has ABS, anti-lock brakes, front and rear. And the production was continued until 2004. So that's the last generation of my bike. And if you look it up, it's a sports touring bike, liquid cooled design. And the suspension is great. That's why it's one of the best touring bikes that you can have. Farthest that I've ridden this one was probably in San Francisco. And I did Death Valley, Borrego Anza from my location. So with that, I'm going to say 73. Bill, I put you on the log. You're in the log already. And what do you call this? Ray, he's been in the log for quite some time. So I want to thank Ray again for the input, and wrote it down, Ray. So I'll give you a report later on here in the ECR. And thank you, everyone, for listening to us. And have a nice evening to both of you and everyone else. Stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy life, and God bless. 73 KD6 CWI. I'll bring it back to Ray.
All right, Ruben, thanks for the chat. This is Kilo Juliet 7 Romeo Victor Bravo. Good night, sir. 73.
The system you're listening to is connected to the East Coast reflector. Operators are asked to pause a minimum of 3 seconds between transmissions to allow other stations to break in or let other systems disconnect from the reflector.
AJ9Y, K7 FPS, Fred in Reno. Bob, are you on the air? AJ9Y, K7 FPS. Are you on the air, Bob? K7 FPS clear.